Anin Bojo Kenawea. Hello, greetings everyone. Melody Ondag Indigenous Alderville First Nation in Dunjaba. Mississauga Anishinaabe Ojibwe. My name is Melody Crowe, and I'm from Alderville First Nation, and a Mississauga Ojibwe Anishinaabe woman is who I am. I'm very honored to have been invited to create this video and read a story, to read a storybook on this Orange Shirt Day, in honor of Orange Shirt Day, in honor of that time that we are in of truth and reconciliation. And we know Orange Shirt Day started as awareness about residential schools, a time within Canada's history that lasted for over 100 years, with over 150,000 Indigenous children going through those residential schools. And so I think it's important to acknowledge that time and all that those children went through. And that's been, a big part of the news, as we know, currently to today. And it is very much still a part of today, and the need to continue to create awareness, to continue to take steps towards that truth and reconciliation. So I'm very honored just in this way to share a story on this day to acknowledge that. The story that I chose is called Stolen Words, a storybook written by Melanie, Florence, and illustrated by Gabrielle, Grimard. I thought this was a really appropriate one, as this is about a little girl and her Cree grandfather, and she discovers that her grandfather doesn't remember his language, doesn't know his Cree language, and that's because of the effects of when he was a boy having gone through one of those residential schools. So I thought that was really, a good story to honor this Orange Shirt Day, and for us to always remember that it's more than just putting on those orange shirts. These orange shirts are very symbolic, but it's also, us taking that deeper and taking those steps forward. So again, just I encourage that and just give thanks for this time, for this day that is set aside to remember, to honor, and to look at that. So I'm going to share those words from this story, but I also want to just quickly say, apologize in advance, as I'm a non-Cree speaking person, and so there are some Cree words in this book, and I'm going to do my very best to pronounce those correctly. But again, as a person who's non-Cree speaking, I certainly do that with the greatest of respect and ask for apologies in advance if I do mispronounce those words. Okay, so I'm going to hold it up so you can see the pictures as I share the story. She came home from school today, skipping and dancing, humming a song under her breath, clutching a dream catcher she had made from odds and ends, from bits of string, plastic beads, and brightly colored feathers. Her glossy braids danced against her shoulders, swaying with her, black as a raven's wing. "Grandpa," she asked, clutching his hand, spinning under his arm before dropping it again, "how do you say grandfather in Cree?" He stopped breathing for a moment, a lifetime to a 7-year-old. He looked down at her sadly. "I don't remember," he answered. "I lost my words a long time ago." A frown clouded her face. "How do you lose words, Grandpa?" she asked. "They took them away," he answered. She thought for a moment. "Where did they take them?" she asked. "Where they took all of us," he said. "Away from home, away from laughter and soft words, away from our mothers who cried for us." She reached for his gnarled hands. "Who took you away, Grandpa?" she asked quietly. "Men and women dressed in black, talking to us with words that we didn't know. he answered. They reached home and sat on the steps on the stairs together. Where did they take you, Grandpa? She asked. Away to a school that was cold and lonely, where angry faces raised their voices and their hands when we used our words. They took our words and they locked them away, punished us until we forgot them, until we sounded like them. Harsh, sharp words, so different from the sound of our beautiful ones. She touched his weathered face, tried to wipe the sadness away with her soft hands. She looked down at her lap and she handed him the dream catcher that she'd made for her room. You take this, Grandpa, she said. Maybe it'll help you find your words again. He smiled at her, his granddaughter, and he touched her innocent face, a face that had never known harsh words or raised hands. He smiled and he kissed her head. The next day, she skipped right out of the school, smiling widely at her grandfather. She stopped in front of him. She took a deep breath. Tanse, Tanse, Nimusam. Hello, grandfather, she said. His eyes widened. She smiled brighter than the sun. I found your words, Grandpa, she said. She pulled a tattered, worn paperback out of her book bag. Introduction to Cree, it said. My teacher helped me to find this for you at the library. He reached for it, his hands shaking when he opened it, feeling the soft, much-loved pages under his fingers. Nosim, he whispered. Granddaughter. The word felt familiar in his mouth. It felt like his home, like his mother. He turned the pages of the book carefully. Masinakan, book. He turned another, word after word. Pikis kwewin, his words. Pikis kwewin is a word for the language. Pages and pages of them. He looked at his granddaughter, his nosim. Thank you. Tenke, he said. Will you read to me? She asked, taking his hand in hers and leading him home. Will you teach me your words? His heart danced as he nodded, holding the book against his chest. So it's really lovely to see that, just being able to hear some of those words was able to, there they go back home. Just being able to hear some of those words, that word for hello, tanse, started to remind him of those lost words that he'd forgotten. And so that's a really nice story that, is that the little granddaughter being able to bring that light back to her grandpa. And so I give thanks to being able to read that. And again, that's the story, Stolen Words. And maybe you'll be able to look that up and find that at the library. Before I finish this video, I thought it would be really nice, especially again as Orange Shirt Day, and like that story kind of stems from that grandfather losing his language when he was young and only relearning it in his later years. Or not, like relearning. I always feel like that language is there. It's just a matter of being able to bring that back out again. I wanted to share I wanted to teach you a few words in my language, in the Ojibwe Anishinaabe language. And I have put together some books, just picture books. But again, I thought it would be a nice way to end the video as we honor Orange Shirt Day by teaching you how to count from 1 to 10. So I'm going to show you through this book that I created. On the pictures on each page represent the number. So there'll be 1 item. The next page there'll be 2 items, 3 items, and so on all the way to 10. Okay, so how to say the number 1 in the Ojibwe Anishinaabe language is bajik, 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 1. How to say 2 is nij, nij, bajik, nij, nij. Nswe, 3. Bajik, nij, nswe, nswe. The number 4 is niwin, niwin. Bajik, nij, nswe, niwin, niwin. And the number 5 is nonan, nonan. Number 6, ngudwaswe, ngudwaswe. Number 7, nijwaswe, nijwaswe. The number 8, nshwaswe, nshwaswe. The number 9, jonkswe, jonkswe. This is a picture I found, some little pine cones. Created that to represent 9. Bajik, nij, nswe, niwin, nonan, ngudwaswe, nijwaswe, nshwaswe, jonkswe, 9. And of course, number 10, madaswe, madaswe. So that's how you count from 1 to 10 in the Ojibwe Anishinaabe language. So I really give thanks for being able to present this video, and I hope that you enjoyed hearing that story, as well as being able to learn how to count to 10 in the language, in honor of this Orange Shirt Day, in honor of that time of truth and reconciliation. And I just, we can all make a difference. We can all make a difference. And just by watching this video, that's making a difference. So I say to miigwech, a very special thank you. And again, miigwech, and blessings to you all. Miigwech.